Welcome to this episode of the Protege, where we are going to focus on challenge number 5, which was taking everything we've done thus far and then creating and articulating the 3 to 5 things we're going to do to drive value into our clients and our prospects. Now, if you missed the big announcement, we announced that we are giving 3 people out of the top 6 that are going to go into the finals. We're giving 3 people immunity and pushing them through right out of the box, so that when we get down to the elimination time, there will only be 3 top 6 spots left. And then unfortunately, 6 people are going to leave the show. But the good news is they're going to take everything they've learned and go out into the real world and use it. I wanted to do this challenge specifically because I feel like there's just still too much leaning on insurance, and we needed to push for more value. Even though it seemed a little bit redundant to the challenge prior, I'm really happy to see how people stretched themselves this week, and I know you will be too. In the middle market, it is rarely, if ever, about the insurance. I understand that we all have specialty markets. I understand that we have the ability to go to a carrier that not a lot of other people have. I understand that we might be able to get good rates and this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, in the middle market, it's all about total cost of risk, and insurance is only a small part of that calculation. You will not win business based on insurance premium reduction alone. You have to deliver value. Value-based selling is not cliche when you get into the middle market. It's a way of life. That's why the AOR is so prevalent. So for this next challenge, I need you to think about the 3 to 5 things that you are going to do unique for your agency and specific to your vertical markets. If you want to pick one and go deep, I'm fine with that. If you want to do for all 3, go ahead. That's going to make it better for you in the long run. But I want you to tell me what you're going to do to differentiate yourself in terms of deliverables to your prospects in the middle market. And let me be very clear. Do not copy what I do at Florida Risk. Don't come to me and tell me that you're going to use mineral and you're going to use certificate tracking and you're going to lead with the employee handbook and all of that. Think outside the box, think industry specific, and come up with some real world value-based ads that you can use to drive a wedge that is far stronger than a simple reduction in premium. Until next challenge, kill or be killed.
Usually when I'm going in, I'm prospecting that particular client because I know usually what their issue is going in. So for example, if they have a mod over 1, they don't have injury management at all, or they're not having the guidance, or they don't have, something's not working in their current program, or else they wouldn't be above a 1. Same with on the benefits. If they're fully insured, I know they're experiencing at least a average of an 8% increase year over year. Their networks in our area, the networks change constantly, and employees get upset and then they leave, go to an employer that has. So I know that they're struggling with certain things, and I can walk them into, I know I have wedge questions on the top of my head that I've said dozens of times in meetings. I've got the, depending on who I'm meeting with, if there's an HR person in the room, I know that I have enrollment tools, and I can take my Zywave client platform and use that as a wedge. So there's things that you kind of have to know your solutions before you can set up the questions. So I have a really good understanding of what solutions we have to offer, and I put my entire strategy around asking questions to walk them into one of the issues they're having. So, I mean, you tell me what you guys want to hear from me. I mean, I'm happy to
How
share
would
whatever.
you structure this in the sense of if you're doing the questioning on like the presentation to David, right? So he asked was, can you give me 3 to 5 value propositions that you're bringing at the point of sale? Are you doing it like it's a built out question back to him to get to your lead or to your solution? Or are you just saying, these are my solutions, these are how I would present them? Because that's the thing I'm struggling with the most. I'll be 100% honest. I haven't mapped this out. Usually I'm really good about doing this a full week ahead of time, but we're just busy with tax. And now that I'm like slowing down and thinking and listen to, I really like the way you explained it, John. But I mean, how do you orchestrate that in your video? Because I do Loom videos every time. I'll be 100% honest. Andy, I watched the one clip he showed of yours and you're in the town square talking to a video camera. I'm just like, man, I just do a Loom video and I send it in. So, I mean, I don't know how to structure it. How are you?
You know what's funny though, Sean, is I saw your video and I'm like, oh crap, Loom video. That makes so much sense. So the last one I did was a Loom video.
Yeah.
So yeah, it goes both ways there. So,
one of the first things Derek said was my biggest mistake I did in season 1 was I took too long on the first video. I was like, well, you know what I'm not going to do? That.
Okay, I have a newbie question.
Yeah.
If you go to your ideal client in the middle market and you ask them if they know what their total cost of risk is, do they even know what total cost of risk means and what it entails?
Some will, some won't.
Okay.
If you kind of just Google, I'll send the email now, I guess. Go down like a little Google rabbit hole on total cost of risk. You'll kind of see like, total cost of risk and business operations. Just different Google searches. You should be able to take away some stuff.
Okay. Because I feel like, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I feel like the ones that know what total cost of risk is, probably half of those that may know what their total cost of risk is or may have some idea. And I feel like the ones that never heard of total cost of risk probably don't even care because they don't know what it is.
Well, I think the way David would do that would, just listening to a lot of his podcasts, is use that as a way to ask questions where company owners don't know the answer, but you ask the question in such a way that they're like, what are you talking about? I need to find out more about that. So he'll ask a question knowing they don't know the answer, and I have no idea. What are you talking about? Let's chat. And so I think he's almost using it from a sales perspective as well as a purely beneficial perspective of we're coming in having this conversation regardless if they know about it. There's ways to get their attention and set the appointment as well as help them reduce that cost. Does that make any sense the way I explained it?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I did this deal last week or earlier this week. That was like, what are the 3 main problems that you're going to solve for people? Which it's right along with this challenge, but in any industry, but in construction, finding skilled work, that's like impossible these days. And so recruitment and hiring is a big problem for all these guys. But then also there's all these studies that come out that say, employees don't feel like they're being trained adequately to do their jobs, or they're being asked to do things that aren't safe, and they've never been trained on how to do this task safely. So those are 2 issues that I know that are not just specific to this, but I know that my vertical is having these problems. So do I try and address those issues with these value prop, ideas, and speak towards how I can help with their hiring and recruiting, or speak towards how I can help with the training? I know you guys both have mentioned these resources already that help with that side of it, but I guess more than just for this competition, those are the issues I'm trying to solve, right? So instead of just going in and start talking about my values, my resources, I don't know, how do I set that up first to talk about or find out what their issues are?
Good question. I think it's going to be difficult if you don't have a blueprint going in there in regards to what you can offer. If you start talking about, HR type things in regards to like hiring talented people and stuff, like, unless you have resources at your disposal, I feel like that's not, you want to kind of steer the conversation, right? So if you're going to be, like I said previously, if you're going to be using Mineral or Think HR, and you're going to be using OSHA logs and all these different things, that's where you want to stay focused on. I think it's fine to talk about those things, because we too, as agency owners here, I'm having difficulty finding, people with prior experience to be an account manager, right? People just, it's hard to find new people. So unless you're going to have some kind of solution for them, I know you want to come up with a solution for it, but if you don't have resources, I just, that's not something you should be addressing in the next challenge. So
yeah.
So my big value add, and the thing that I've been consistent with over these last 5 challenges or last 6 challenges, is driving them towards the education library, getting them to put in different safety measures and play different tips, trying to help educate the customer or prospective client why their mod is so high. I'm leading with the mod. So when I'm leading with the mod, that means they've had issues. That means they've had claims. Those that are 1.1 or 2 or higher need my help. They need help. They need education. They need training. Their employees are getting hurt because they don't have the plans in place. All of the stuff that they will need, the tools and the tactics, are all going to be inside this educational center. Yes, I'm lacking a few things right now as far as documents and a few more videos, but you're going to see the structure of this. This actually is live right now, so you can visit this education center on our website and be able to move things around and I guess be interactive with the system and see how it works. But I had to make sure that my education center and safety library was going to be very, very strong, because if that's the backbone of what I'm leading with on the comp side, is resources, a program and a process that's going to help get them back up to where they're winning in work comp and putting more money back in their pocket. This is the key of my success here moving forward.
I felt like it was a really dangerous move to go all in on one thing, because I said that I was looking for 3 to 5 differentiators from a value prop standpoint, and I look at an educational center as being one. And so I was looking for other things that were going to be added to your offerings aside from just the educational center, so that you were more well-rounded. And then I watched your video and you dominated. So I wanted to tell you, man, I think you're on the right track. You're doing a really good job. I think it's nice that you're doing it to customize. If I'm being brutally honest with you, you're recreating things that already exist in terms of learning management systems that have abilities to test, track, date, timestamp, and all of that to assure that training has been done. And so, in the real world, you may want to have this be a small part of what you do. And then if you have heavy lifting, outsource that to somebody like, KPA, Think HR, Zywave, people who have learning management systems in place already, so that you don't have to come up with the content and everything else. And the really good ones like KPA, we can customize that, so it looks like we created everything. We can upload videos from ownership and everything else to make it look like it's theirs, because it's a customized risk management center. But all that being said, your thought process is 100% on board. I told Brad the same thing. This is exactly what I did when I first launched Florida Risk, and it was just me in my dining room by myself and didn't have anything but time on my hands. So I created a huge learning center, and then every time I would bring a new client on, I would just do a custom intro and outro with their logo and some music and all of that stuff. But it was basically made to look like it was theirs. And then when I got enough money and enough traction, I went ahead and outsourced that, because It just wasn't something that made sense for me to spend a lot of time doing if I could be out generating revenue and outsource for pennies on the dollar. So really, really good job, man. I'm happy to see what you've done. And I think you're on the right path. So well done, sir.
On this one, I create the steps for give to the self-storage owners peace of mind. The idea is to do a risk analysis, give security solution, introduce secret shoppers, review tenants insurance, and build relationship with the community. Those are my 5 value propositions. So let's start with the risk assessment. On this one, the idea is to identify any potential hazard. Then second one will be security solutions by giving the self-storage owner more time and less worry. The third value proposition, and I love this one, is the secret shoppers. We saw on the TV Boss Undercover, but in this case, I want to provide random visits to the units or to the companies, to the storage, to make sure that the customer service is up to the best service. I want to make sure the self-storage is clean, because I was visiting those storage from big companies and noticed that it's not clean, it's not the best customer service. And by doing this, we can give a report to the business owners so they can fix that with the management company and give a better impression to the clients. The next one is making sure everyone is insured. The last one I like the most is to help the business owner to create or to build a relationship with the community. By doing this, we can check for teams, school teams, or sponsor events in the community so they can have that presence.
You've done some stuff that's been cool and creative in like the actual production of your submissions in the past weeks, but the substance wasn't there. This time I can see that you really worked hard to marry the creativity with the substance, and you came up with a couple of really good ideas, but the one that I like the most is the secret shopper idea. I think that's a great idea for these storage places. And if that's something that you could execute as an agency, holy cow, man, you're going to have people lining up to take advantage of that for free. So I think you did a really nice job this week. You know, there are maybe a few things that you can add as you continue to build this vertical market out, but overall, really good job. I'm putting you in the top this week. You deserve it. You did a really good job on this. And I can tell that you're trying hard to push yourself to the forefront, and I respect that greatly.
Honestly, this challenge had me wondering, had I gotten my value proposition all wrong? I mean, all along, I thought that I was providing my target market with value. I'd share that they had a high mod score, and I had the solution to reduce it. But was I really providing value beyond the sale? Could another agent come along and BOR it right out from under me? You know I wouldn't be happy with that. You know, providing detailed, colorful reports is never enough, even if they come from my favorite company, Mod Advisor. Companies really need a proven, repeatable process that I had to now develop through Risk Shield. Risk Shield allows me to ask more direct questions. I can identify issues, create solutions, implement the best strategy for them and their company, and allow us both to monitor the results. When you address multiple problems, initially, it helps avoid the losses, such as low dollar indemnity claims, a vague claim description, or lag time in reporting. We have to go above and beyond to set ourselves apart as a trusted advisor to our accounts. Under promise and over deliver. That's what I'm here to do at risksucks.com. Mr. Howard, thank you for your time. I know you're busy like me, so I will share 4 unique ways risksucks.com provides value to companies just like yours. First, let's examine your employee handbook. When did you update it last? Let me go on to our second value, mod analysis. Are you concerned that you're paying more than your competitors? Let's move on to the third point, return to work. What light duty options are currently offered? Let's move on to the last but not least, a business continuation plan. During these uncertain times, what have you put in place for your key leaders?
You figured it out. You can't stop delivering the value once you have the sale. There's a whole reason why in my ecosystem in Digital Learning Center, where we train producers nationwide, we have killing commercial, which is when you go out and you kill it and you drag it back to the cave. Then we have keeping commercial, which is how you clean it, fry it, and have it for dinner, how you keep it around. And you have done a really good job. If I'm looking at your overall body of work, you've done a really good job of building on what the base was you started with and then continuing to add to that and round it out. I agree with you that you should have been confused a little bit in why I'm asking for this, because you actually have done a better job than most of outlining value and process during the entire, show thus far. So for you to take it and go a little bit deeper and fine tune it a little bit more is exactly what you needed to do. No doubt in my mind, you're in the top this week, man. Great job.
In addition to the name, Contractors Resource Center, the COVID solution, the COVID focused solutions I'll be providing to the marketplace, I also have been building out California Contractor TV on YouTube. That is a channel where I'm providing content that's hopefully relevant and important to my target market. And I'm taking your advice and going to be starting a podcast next month. Something new that also I've been working on the last month and a half is building out on the website. This just launched on Wednesday last week, a Find a Contractor page on my website. The goal here is I want to be able to provide leads to my clients. And I don't know of many other insurance agencies that are proactively providing leads. I'm going to do that a couple ways. One is through my Facebook groups I'm creating where homeowners are looking for contractors. I want to be able to feed my clients those leads. Now on my website, I have Find a Contractor, where you'll be able to essentially look up what type of contractor you're looking for, and my clients will be in that directory. And then on the bottom of this page, David, I have the Contractor Spotlight, which will allow me to spotlight different clients that I have and promote their business on the website. Next, Facebook groups, we talked a little bit about that, and that is going to allow me to bring value and content specifically to those markets on Facebook. And then if all this doesn't work, the goal is I'm going to use Operation Hard Hat in conjunction with all the other marketing I'm doing. And I believe this is also a big differentiator, targeting clients that I can go and drop off some collateral with, drop off a bucket of cookies, and meet some prospects in person.
I want to tell you, man, you and I are going to be friends for a long time after the Protege is over. I really like you. I like the way that you think. I like the way that you take the challenges and you make them your own. You don't conform to what you think I'm looking for. You conform to what you have conviction about that will work in the real world. And so for that, you should be commended. You went a completely different direction with this challenge than anybody else did. And again, that gamble pays off. You're going to be in the top this week. What I like is you're not going to let anybody dictate to you what value means to your constituency. You know that, and you know what your capability is to deliver it. And you have done an excellent job of outlining that, building the infrastructure around it, and setting yourself up for a lot of success as you move forward. The Operation Hard Hat thing is genius. It feels like it's got a little bit of Jeffrey Gitomer flair to it. And I like that. You know, it's not obnoxious and over the top. It's a great, literally could have come right from the pages of the extra 2 minutes, to be honest with you, but I didn't come up with the idea. So maybe in some small way I inspired you to think that way, but I have a feeling that you were thinking this way long before our paths ever crossed. So I want to wish you luck as you move forward. You're doing a great job, man. And I really like the creativity and the consistency in your marketing game. And that's rule number one. If you can get them in the door using that stuff, closing them's not hard at all. So job well done, Kevin. Really proud of you for this.
First thing that we want to get into is we in this challenge go ahead and we describe the problems that many business owners and blue collar business owners face every single day. We describe our wedge questions, our leading questions that we use, and then we provide that solution with our value proposition and value propositions that we offer to those different business owners. First problem is we walk in and there's a lot of business owners that are just wearing too many hats, right? So a lot of these people have so many things hitting their desk that they're doing somebody else's job. And a lot of the time it's just because they haven't hired that next position or they don't have a place for it to go. So you've got somebody who's really good in a different world, but for some reason they're taking a lot of that payroll and some of that bookkeeping costs as well. So when we walk in, some of our wedge questions, our leading questions are, do you feel like you're wearing too many hats? I mean, who's not going to say yes to that, right? And then you're going to say, what's holding you back from where you feel like you're the best at? And then what kind of tasks you feel like are hitting your desk that shouldn't be? Because we do the shit you don't want to do. That's a blue collar blueprint. We have an outsourced payroll and bookkeeping division of our agency. Well, it's its own entity, right? And then so we can go in and we can take some of that off their desk, as well as some of the insurance risk management and even some of that financial consulting. Another large pain point that we all know, especially in service contractors and some of these service-based businesses, are audits, whether that's workers' compensations, GL, or any of the other type of audits that they go through. Their big problem is they're just not educated in the process or even how their rates are calculated in the first place. To avoid the large audits, we've created an Excel piece for us to give to our clients for them to literally just track their payroll themselves and then even use the carriers themselves that have the monthly self-reporting. Problem number 3, these businesses are loyal. And that's the type of clients we want, right? So no fault of their own. That's their uncle, that's their family tie, that's their golfing buddy. So what we're going to go and do is we're going to offer something that not a lot of people are even thinking about in our industry, because everybody thinks that they need to sell a policy in order to get paid. So we pretty much just with our wedge questions go, it sounds like you're not in the position to fire your current representation. Have you ever thought that maybe there could be a best of both worlds? Because we're experts in the financial field as well as workers' compensation, we could do this for a fee, and you can keep not only your current agent and representation, but you can keep your current company, and we can do a consulting practice for you to lower your X mod, to give you a mod report, to show you where you could be and give you the tools with the different types of HR guidelines or return to work programs or light duty programs that allow them to actually go ahead and decrease their cost by even still paying us, because it's lowering their cost of total cost of risk.
Listen, man, I am really proud of the work you're doing. I know that I give you some up and downs in the feedback, but that's only because I love you and I want to see you succeed. And I hope you realize that as much as you don't agree with me sometimes or it stings. Get over it, because I'm here to make you better. And I promise you that I will, no matter what. I'm going to push you into a place that you probably wouldn't go yourself. And sometimes that requires negative reinforcement to get there. So I can appreciate the fact that you're passionate enough about what you do that you don't like getting negative feedback. The bad news is I'm not going to give you any negative feedback this week. You nailed this. And let me tell you, Sean, what I really appreciate about what you're doing, out of everybody in the competition, you were the one person that I can tell is taking this and using it for the foreseeable future in their agency. It's not that everybody else isn't going to do it, but the way that you have embraced the brand, you continue to use the brand, the way that you've built the brand tells me that this is something that you are going to use for years to come. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to make you wildly successful. I love the fact that you have the ability in your agency to do things outside of insurance, whether it be taxes and payroll and all of that other stuff. Those are just things that make those accounts more sticky to your operation. So I wanted to tell you, job well done this week. I love what you've done to grow and build on your brand. And I can't really ask for any more from you other than what you put forth this week. It was a really good work product, and it's a really good work product that's going to play in the real world, and you should be really proud of it.
I realized that the best way that I can add value to my clients is to value what's important to them. And I called actually quite a few different cold calls and chatted with them to find out what's the competition doing and how are they meeting the needs of the clients apart from insurance. And I heard some very interesting stories, to say the least. I realized that, just like you say, though, David, a lot of people aren't doing more than insurance. They're not doing the risk management. And I realized that really what I needed to bring to the table was to help manage these clients and the things that I can assist on. So first, it's drivers. That's an issue right now. It is maintaining drivers, it's training drivers, it's retaining drivers. And what I realized I can do is I can do an incentive program which will reward drivers that go through the DOT inspection without any violations, because of course violations affect the cost of the insurance. I'll also be able to comment on drivers and what they with the inspection and see what happens there, and that way if it needs to be addressed and what that looks like. But then also we're going to, with the inspections, we're going to make sure that there's not repetitive issues like a broken taillight, because the DOT is going to be keeping an eye for that thing to make sure that it's been taken care of. This will all help, of course, reduce the insurance costs, but it's also just keeping an eye on the client overall so that they're not having to focus on all of it, and we can bring to their attention what's important to them, and the rest we're just taking care of behind the scenes, which I really think adds value because we're saving them time, we're keeping an eye on their business, and we're helping them so that they can have success in the long haul.
You know, I'm a YouTube junkie. So like if I get down a rabbit hole on YouTube, I'm gone for at least an hour. And as I've watched you go through the Protege this season, it reminds me of some of my favorite videos of people that are competing competitively in track meets. And I love the videos where somebody starts out and you can tell that they've trained, you can tell that they have the experience, but for whatever reason, they're in the middle to the back of the pack. And they run a couple laps and they stay there. And then all of a sudden, when it really matters, when it comes time to figure out how you're going to finish the race, out of nowhere, you see this person just get a turbo boost and go from the middle to the back, and sometimes even last place, all the way to the front and win. That's exactly how I feel like you're doing right now. You have done such an exceptional job on the last 3 challenges, and what I like about it is you're not overthinking it, and you're an overthinker. If you are, you're not showing it. What you've put together this week is exactly what you need to have to be successful. It's short, it's concise, but it's relevant to every single account that you're going to go after in your trucking vertical. So I really have no criticism whatsoever on your presentation this week. It was great. I am, however, going to give you an idea. And this one's outside of the box. It's not mine. I stole it from somebody. I don't remember who it was that I stole it from, but I heard about it and it was absolutely genius. And one of the things that this person did was they created Google Ads on their own nickel in a website or a landing page recruiting drivers. And so they paid, for the leads for these drivers or whatever. And it wasn't, it wasn't expensive, but it was an investment. But as they had driver applications come in, they would then farm those out to their clients and prospects to help them make sure that they were fully staffed in their fleets. And I think that that would be the one thing I would add to what you're doing if you had carte blanche to do so, because I think that that is something that nobody else is doing, or at least nobody except for the one guy that I heard talk about it. And that goes back to something else. I think that we all need to realize that we need to be coachable no matter where we're at in the grand scheme of things. As long as I've been doing this now almost 20 years, there's not a day that goes by that I don't learn something from somebody else. And so I'm just so thankful to have people like you in the competition that are sponges and they're trying to be their best and they're absorbing everything they can. And then they're applying it and getting better as a result. So the proverbial hat tip to you, Abby, great job this week. You have really cemented yourself in the front of the pack going forward. I really, really can't tell you how proud I am of all that you've done so far. Well, that's a wrap, folks. Another great episode of the Protege, and I had a blast going through and giving people feedback this week. Now, you've got some people in the top this week that haven't been there in the past, and you've got a couple that didn't quite make it. But listen, everybody turned in really good work product. It's just some took it the extra 2 minutes, right? And so a couple of things that I was looking for in this was really driving value outside of the insurance piece. I don't want to hear about insurance. Reviewing policies is not value add. It's the expectation. And so we have to get past that. But the other thing I'm looking for at this stage in the competition is I'm looking for passion and conviction about the work product that's being submitted. And one of the big things that differentiated the people that are in the top versus the people who aren't is the fact that those people were passionate and convicted about their value proposition. The people who weren't, it was obvious to me. They were reading about what they were going to do. They were monotone. They weren't really getting into it. And, I've been saying for episode after episode after episode, you have to treat this like it's your job, because it is. The Protege is not a distraction. The Protege is actually something that will give you focus to force you to do the things you should be doing all along. Formalize those things, create the collateral around them, and then deploy them out into the real world and reap the benefits of the experience of being on the show. And the people who have embraced that are the ones who are going to be in the top 6 and ultimately the winner. And the people who are pencil whipping this and just going through the motions and creating videos with a hope that the content itself and saying all the right things and having the greatest graphic design is going to push them through. It's not. It's not, because from a mile away, I can spot someone who really believes that this is what's going to change their career, and they're going to deploy that and use it in the real world. And the people that just think they're competing in a fun little show to win, a prize in a killing commercial. Here's a news flash. If you think the Protege is rough and I'm driving you here, you want no part of the paid community, because those are the people that are really serious about what they want to do, and they're paying big money to get into a private community and learn how to do it. So that's how people should be conducting themselves on the Protege. If you want me to give you something valued at $25,000 over your lifetime, then I need you to put submissions in that show me you want me to open up my wallet and hand you 25 grand, because that's basically what I'm doing. So if you're watching this and you haven't been a contestant, follow what these people are doing. It's a blueprint for how you can be successful in the middle market. And just know that if you think you want to take your game to the next level, as soon as this season's over, we're going to have a casting call for season 3, and it's going to be a blast. But the one thing I want everybody to take out of this episode is to know that the people who made it to the top are the people that exhibited that they are passionate and convicted about what they've created. And there is no doubt in my mind that they're going to go out into the real world and be successful with it. And for the people who didn't, doesn't mean they're not going to go out into the real world and be successful. They just need to fine tune and use the feedback they were given and make the adjustments necessary so that they can. Until next time, kill or be killed. On next week's episode of The Protege.
I tell you what, I live in my car these days, it feels like.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
You have any luck?
At your desk, Kirby. Come on.
It's tax season, brother. If you saw my front desk, you'd be amazed.
Well, you're doing the shit. You're doing the shit nobody wants to do.
That's my elevator pitch, brother.
Yeah, that is so un-blue collar of you.
You got the time, man.